novation deal, when you find out that their okay.
All right.
When you find out their need price is too much, being that, maybe the mortgage payoff is too much for a cash offer, maybe grandma passed, they need the money for the funeral, and they are hard set on that price, which is above a cash offer, you could go in, and as long as the your novation offer would be your as is valuation of the property. So meaning that if the property's built in 1990, never been updated, you need to comp it to 1990 properties that have never been updated. You take out your realtor fees, your title fees, and then now there's your fee. And as long as that number is still above of what their need price is, you can pitch the novation concept to them. We call it our concierge service, where we talk about we're going to, and we let them know full transparency. We're going to list the property on the MLS. We're going to use our network of realtors and buyers. And we're going to sell this property to a third-party buyer and still net you the money that you need at closing. We'll handle all the realtor fees, all the title fees, and we'll handle the inspection and inspection repairs. That's the selling point usually. And then
nice.
Yep, that's your selling point typically, because a lot of these homeowners don't want to deal with the inspection repairs. The reason why they're calling us is for convenience, and we're still giving them that convenience in the novation offer that you would as a cash offer. And so we let them know we're going to handle the inspection repairs, the appraisal, and we're going to handle any issues that may come up. It's a white glove service. All they got to do is show up at the closing table and sign the final deed. That's it. And they can sit back, relax, and collect their check. And that's kind of the pitch on the front end.
That's great. And by the way, I've heard you guys pitch this, and the transparency is unreal, and people don't understand that people will do this.
People do it all the time. And here's my favorite one. When you pitch cash and you're in the money on cash, they agree to a cash offer. And what you do is you go ahead and sprinkle in a few $1,000s and send the novation paperwork to them, and then let them know that they got approved for our new concierge service program, and we're able to pay them a few $1,000s more than what we initially agreed upon, and they take it 8 times out of 10.
Wow. So
now
you get a lot of like a traditional wholesale, offer a little bit more to do the novation.
Do the concierge service.
Opens up to the retail buyers and makes that spread that much better.
Now you got yourself a novation deal at wholesale pricing.
Amazing. And that's why you're basically doubling your wholesale fees.
That's exactly right.
Novation.
That's exactly right. Yep. And at that point, you send over the correct paperwork. You need the original purchase agreement. You need the novation indemnification agreement, and you need the attorney in fact. That's your original package that you got to send to the homeowner.
Okay.
Then to sign.
Do they have to sign any notarized documents prior to listing?
Not in my method. Not in my.
So that's one of the things a lot of people are doing wrong then, right?
People are using a power of attorney, which needs to be notarized. And I'll tell you what, power of attorney adds a lot of liability to you. You're stacking on a lot of liability with a power of attorney. I'll tell you, if you ever end up in a court of law for real estate fraud and you use the power of attorney with that seller, the judge is not going to look good on you. It's not going to look good on you at all. We all know sellers can get disgruntled sometimes. We all know problems happen. And so you need to keep yourself safe with the least amount of liability. And if you're using power of attorneys, especially at scale, man, I could tell you a story, dude. In Illinois, we do deals there. I got a call from the Department of Real Estate of Illinois. This is last year. And then I got the call and they said, "Hey, is this Corey Geary?" I said, "Yeah, this is Corey Geary." They said, "Well, sir, Mr. Geary, you're under investigation for real estate fraud." I was like, your stomach just drops, right? You're like, oh
my gosh.
And I was like, okay, why am I under? Why? What's going on? I said, well, did you close such and such Marshall Avenue? I remember the name of the street name, Marshall Avenue in Illinois. I was like, and make $42,000. I said, yes, I did. And they said, did you wholesale this deal? I said, no, we didn't. We novated that deal. Well, Mr. Geary, did you keep chain on title? I said, no, I did not. Well, so it sounds like, you wholesale the deal, and wholesaling is illegal here. Did you know that, Mr. Geary? I said, yeah, I didn't know that, but it's a novation. And then he goes, did you use the company List with Freedom to list a deal? I said, yes. Were you aware that they're under investigation for real estate fraud? It's like, no, I was not aware of that. If I was aware of that, I would have not used them. When he goes, well, that's how we found your file. And it says, and it looks like you didn't take title of this property and you collected $42,000. This is fraud, Mr. Geary. We see that you're licensed in the state of Arizona. We're going to report you to the state of Arizona. This is a federal case. We'll be escalating this. And I said, hold on. I said, you need to talk to my attorney. I cut the conversation. I said, please talk to my attorney. I got my attorney involved. He squashed it for $5,000. So I was still net positive on the deal, $37,000. He squashed it. Now, if I had used a power of attorney, if I had collect seller's proceeds, if I had signed the final deed, I guarantee you it'd be a different story I'd be telling today. It'd be a totally different story I'd be telling today.
Wow. Wow. Because you didn't take the proceeds. It all passed to them. You were just paid out of the HUD settlement statement at the closing.
Yeah, a lien payoff.
Like a lien payoff, right?
Yep. We did a contractor type service for the homeowner. And my attorney was able to negotiate the whole thing with the Department of Real Estate of Illinois for $5,000, and he squashed it. So, I mean, it is crucial to be there to get your paperwork right. It is crucial to be careful who you learn this from, because a lot of people teaching it in this space are teaching it the other way. So be very careful, guys, on who you're learning this strategy from.
Can you explain? And I know you're not an attorney, and I know we have a recovering attorney on the Zoom here too, but what's the difference between a power of attorney and an attorney in fact? Is there much difference?
So, yeah, from my understanding, this is a very good question for an attorney. From my understanding, when you're using the power of attorney, it gives you limited power over the real estate, over the property. That's why you're able to sign the deed and collect proceeds at closing, is because you have power over the real estate. The attorney, in fact, you have no power over the real estate. You only have power over the signing rights by the seller. That's it. You have nothing over the real estate, just signing rights.
Is there, I'm trying to remember, and it's been a while since I went through some classes. I went through some real estate classes back in the day, and I think attorney in fact is that what some realtors like? They're an attorney in fact on some of these, or
yeah. I mean, I've also heard of.
I have to research that a little bit.
Yeah, research. I've heard of realtors being power of attorneys too. Always consult with attorney when you have questions and you're unsure about paperwork or the way to structure a deal. I keep an attorney on standby, like he's on retainer,
Beautiful.
Like when you practice real estate on 24/7, you have to have attorneys.
So there's a saying that it's not a matter of when, if you get sued, it's a matter of when. If you're in the business long enough, right? Yeah. Man, and people can sue for anything.
Anything.
Whether
And that's why you got to be careful
not,
with your sellers, because a seller can sue you. They get upset and get disgruntled. They can sue you. And so you got to be careful on how you structure your deals with your sellers, because if you ever end up in a court of law, that's where it can become a problem.
So you've learned a lot through this. You've been doing Novations for what, over a year now? 2 years?
2 years. I think it's 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Yeah. How has it changed your business?
Oh my gosh, bro. It saved my business. It really did. It saved my business because we're able to, do these deals nationwide without having to really get, deep into finding these buyers, and because we have the biggest buyers list there is. I mean, and right now, we're going through the most uncertain of times with the Fed raising the interest rates, crashing all the markets, and we're able to still conduct deals on the MLS because retail will never go away. Retail buyers need to buy properties because they need some place to live. Back in the 80s, when the interest rates were like 18%, which is when I was a kid, people were still buying houses. Like, there were still transactions happening. And so, like, with Novations, man, you keeping yourself a foot in the door with the retail space, so you always can have, make some money. When you're going through uncertain times, you got to learn these alternative strategies. Novations, sub 2, seller financing, the stuff that you teach. There needs to be, you need to have multiple tools in the tool belt when you're going through really uncertain times in the marketplace. And that's how you get through. If you're just a wholesale guy, you're a one-trick pony, just wholesale. I don't know if you're going to make it on the other side. to the other side. I don't know.
I already know several people that have companies that are literally going out of business right now.
Yeah, you got to implement and learn new strategies. It's the only way. I think we are not even close to what we're gonna see in the marketplace. I think we're gonna see another massive leg down. And the real estate market, it's funny about the real estate market, it never gets affected until later. Like you'll see all the stocks and crypto crash first, and then real estate's a lagging indicator. Like 6 months later is when real estate really gets hammered, and gets hit. It's like we're a very slow moving market.
And I think it also certain markets in the country, you probably will get spanked a little harder than others,
Yeah, like Arizona, man, we always ride the bubble all the way up, and then we'll ride the bubble all the way down. Like we're notorious for that.
Yeah. So I know you've been doing this for a couple of years now, and you've probably have had professionals or wholesalers or flippers or other people like, well, you can't do that, Corey. Or what are some of the common objections that you hear from people just because they don't understand novations? What, like, oh, it's illegal, or
you get that. I mean, they feel like you're scamming the seller or you're doing a net listing. It's usually the realtors who are coming up with the objections, not your sellers. Once you explain it to your sellers, you rarely ever get those type of like objections. You might get the objection from the seller, like, hey, I can list the property with my sister and make more money still. Like you'll still get that, like the same kind of objections you get when you're offering cash. It's the same things. But what the on the realtor side is where you get the objections when you're trying to find someone to list a property, because they don't understand the concept and they feel like you're trying to scam the seller, that it's a net listing. And what we do typically is we'll push people towards our transaction company and let them talk to a third party, verified third party, to explain to them that what we do is legal and what we do is, on the up and up. And so sometimes we'll have to push them to our transactional company or maybe a title company to reference with them and understand that, hey, this is a normal thing. And so that happens. And like I said, the best way to really get people to understand what you're doing is talk to realtors who understand the investor space. That's going to help alleviate a lot of objections, because people don't understand it. Title companies don't understand it, and that's another thing you got to be careful of. Title companies will kill your novation deals. Ask me how I know. Oh my God, I went through so much pain with this. But that's why we use a very good, reputable transaction company now that handles all of our deals nationwide. They know the title companies that understand novation deals, and they have those relationships. So all we have to do is deal with a TC company, and they handle the rest for us. Because if you're working with a title company that understand it, they will kill your deal. Now here in Arizona, Magnus Title will do novations all day long. They'll do novations. So if you're in Arizona, Magnus Title is your title company. But if you're nationwide, use a good reputable TC company. I recommend Easy REI Closings, and you can actually sign up with them with novationclosings.com, www.novationclosings.com. And you can get a good TC company in your back corner that understands not only novations, sub 2, seller financing. They transact everything.
Yeah. That's the thing that I've found doing the creative real estate is some title companies just don't or some title reps, I should say, don't understand it. And then a lot of realtors don't understand it. Part of it is helping to educate the professional realtor, educate the title company, or just finding the title company or the realtor that'll do business with you because they are open to understanding this. So I do want to open up. We do have some people on the Zoom call, so I do want to open up for questions. And I would love to have anyone just unmute yourself or throw a question in the chat, and I'll ask it for you as well. I'm anxious to hear Claude's opinion because Claude's a recovering attorney.
A recovering attorney. I like
that. But he's in all the creative. I mean, I've learned lease options from Claude. He's helped people with seller financing, all the creative strategies that are out there. He's an expert on as well, and also an attorney, right? So there's a lot of
dictionary. I love it.
I'm a recovering attorney. Thank you for that. And very interesting, Corey. I went back to my law books here to look up novations.
It's in there.
And a very and what everything you said, and thank you. That was a very honest, interesting presentation. Everything you said reminded me of the early days of using options and lease options. So many similarities to assigning, arbitraging contracts, controlling without the liability, without the heavy investment. There's a lot of similarities.
Because options can be recorded, right? Right, Claude?
Oh yeah, you can record the contract.
That's an interest.
Or you can record a memorandum of the option, depending on the jurisdiction on it. But everything Corey said, and he didn't make it sound easy. I was saying to myself, I was taking notes while you were doing this. I said, this is a hardworking guy.
It's when you do one or two of them, it'll really click, and it's like, okay, I get it. And then it's like, and then you're off to the races. It's not as hard as I make it sound. There's just a lot to it, right? And I have to I'm trying to explain everything in 45 minutes, an hour, and it's hard to lay it all out on the table in an hour. It's
the biggest challenge I had with options, lease purchase, rent to own. It's all semantics. Was the sales part of it, explaining it to people because they didn't know what it is. And when people don't understand something, as you just said, they usually just say no because they don't want to embarrass themselves.
A confused mind doesn't buy. A confused mind doesn't agree. So my biggest thing is all these wonderful strategies. Is can you communicate it to a person in such a way that they understand it? And I was hoping you would share that. Kind of what's your conversation?
What's the pitch?
Your dialogue sound like? Pitch?
So. I mean, pitch on the front end or for the homeowners. That part's easy.
The motivated homeowner.
That part is so easy because you're letting them know that you're going to offer them a white glove concierge service. We take care of everything for you and net them more money at the end of the day is what their objective is to net more money. And then we're coming in. First, we always come in with cash. You always lead with cash. That's that same with creative financing, right? Lead with cash. Get them nice.
I preach that too. Yeah.
Get them anchored nice and low.
Here. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Once you have them anchored low, and then you come in with the concierge service offer, you're saving the day now. And you're like, oh yeah, but I got this option for you. And we're going to, use a network of realtors in the MLS, and we're going to get a third party buyer in place. And you don't got to do anything, Mr. Homeowner. You can just sit back and collect your check, and we'll even do the repairs for you on the inspection. We're going to handle everything for you. You just got to sign that final deed. That's it. Because at the end of the day, they're calling us for convenience. That is why they're calling us, because they want that cash offer. They don't want to deal with anything. They want to get that property out of their hair without any headaches. And so we're still offering that. It's just maybe not in a timely manner, but we're still offering the convenience to them. And so I got scripting for all of it. And, we have scripting for the front end script. We have scripting for the back end script. And then, I have people in office, they pitch it differently than I pitch it. They pitch it completely different. You define what works for you. But the key is the full transparency. You better be fully transparent, because if you're not, it will kill the deal halfway through the deal. You're going to get killed on the deal. So you need to be transparent on what you're doing. You're going to be selling this on the MLS. You're going to be using realtors. You're going to need walkthroughs. We need to be fully transparent with the process. And I'm telling you, homeowners don't care. I think they appreciate the truth. Where in wholesaling, we're lying to them. We are usually lying to the homeowner. We're saying, hey, we're selling. We're not telling them we're selling the contract. We're not telling them that usually. Most people, right. Some people do.
I do.
Most people do not tell the homeowner to sell in the contract.
If you don't inform them everything up front, it's going to explode on you in the middle of the deal. Just
especially the way regulations
in Arizona now. I don't know if you know this, Claude. In Arizona now, you have to disclose if you're wholesaling, and you put it in the contract, and so that way everyone knows. But the couple of things I noticed whenever I was at your office, Corey, and I heard some of the folks pitch was, one is they always go for the cash price, the deep discount, right? They get them bought in, and then they're like, but I can probably give you a little bit more if you qualify for this white glove service. They're like, I can get more. Boom, right? The greed jumps in. The greed jumps in. So then they want to do that. Thanks, Claude. They want to do that. And then all of a sudden, then you're able to kind of take that whole process off of their plate, and you take care of the whole listing and organizing a lot of that stuff. Brandon, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yeah, Corey, thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah, man.
I had a question in regards to like when you're doing the listing. So let's just say you tell the seller, look, bro, I'm gonna give you 100 grand. They agree to the whole concierge service, but then they see that you're listing it for 140,000.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever gotten feedback and when that happens?
Typically we never get it on the listing end of things. It's when they go to sign the final HUD is when you might get some pushback on what we're selling the property for. Typically in the listing, we just let them know up front, say, hey, that money that's in the listing, that's going to cover all the realtor fees. It's going to cover all the title fees. It's going to cover all my inspection repairs I'm going to have to put into the property. And it's being paid for by the buyer, Mr. Seller. The buyer's paying that. So that way you can net your money at the end of the day. It's still the full transparency. It's how you present it to them. It's your presentation always.
And also we got to understand we're coming into a buyer's market if you're not already in a buyer's market in some of these areas. So a lot of times the prices is getting negotiated down anyway. We're not paying over asking anymore. So
right, that's exactly correct. So
in regards
and you will get it once in a while, like I said, when the HUD comes and there's a big $80,000 novation spread on there, lien payoff, and then we've only had it happen twice since I've done hundreds of these. And so what we do is we explain to the seller, say, hey, Mr. Seller, so once again, we're paying the title fees are coming out of that, the realtor fees are coming out of that. We had to put inspection repairs in the property, and at the end of the day, Mr. Seller, we're only making $20,000. So how about we split that 10-10 and get this deal closed today? That's how we've gotten over that objection. And it's happened twice.
So you can't go broke making a profit. That's right.
That's it, man. I mean, that's it. You just reopen up the negotiations if they see it on the HUD and they have a problem with it. That's all it is.
So I borrowed that from Greg Hellback. He told me that whenever we were doing a JV deal together, he's like, we had to take a lower price. Hey, don't worry, we can't go broke making a profit. So
this is correct. This is correct.
Awesome. And what other questions? Anyone else have some questions for Corey while we have you on Zoom here and locked up with us?
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Taylor.
So you briefly mentioned a few of the paperwork items that you have to have on these transactions. Can you remind me of those? You said do not do a power of attorney. I know that was one that other people are teaching a lot of, and so I'm glad you clarified why you don't do that. But what are those other documents that you typically have to make it legit?
Yep, the 5 instruments that you're going to need to do it the way we do it, Novation Nation way, is going to be the original purchase agreement with a clause somewhere in there that's disclosing up front what you're doing. So, and ours is in paragraph number 9, that we're going to novate the deal. Then you need the Novation Indemnification Agreement, which is a 5-page document specifying exactly what you're doing legally, disclosing everything. This is the actual document that makes the novation a novation. It also instructs the title company what you're doing legally and so forth. And it indemnifies all parties, meaning indemnifying, meaning you can't get sued. So that's the second document. So the third is the attorney in fact. And so that's a document that gives you signing rights by the seller. That's all it is signing rights. It doesn't need to be notarized.
You're negotiating with the buyer, you're the one signing the paperwork for that.
I am the one signing. You're right. So, okay. For example, if
Brandon's by the way, I want to jump in real quick, Corey, because this is one of the most powerful things. Whenever he lists with the realtors, he tells them, "I'm paying your commission."
Absolutely.
And they work for you, right?
120%. You got to make that very clear when you're talking with these realtors in the front end. But for example, so to your question, you're signing the offer. Say Brandon's a seller, and I'm doing the deal with them. And if an offer came in, I would sign it. Brandon Simmons by Corey Geary, AIF. That's how the documents get signed. Attorney in fact. So, and you'd want to sign all your agreements like that, except here's another one they don't teach you. So be careful. Except disclosures. Have the seller sign the disclosures. Why is that? Because those are federal documents. Out of all the documents in the whole retail world, that is some of the most important documents because they're federal documents. So have seller sign disclosures. Here in Arizona, we call them spuds.
Yeah, I was gonna say we call them spuds here, right?
Spuds.
Yeah, the seller disclosures.
Do you have anything in your agreement or that contract that kind of releases you from having to disclose anything?
I mean, yeah, you can do it that way, but I mean, I've just been advised by many attorneys have the seller fill that out.
No, I get that. I guess my question.
You
is,
could do it. You could fill it out.
sellers fill out their stuff, but
Right.
then as far as me, I'm not reliable because I'm not taking ownership of the property.
Right. I mean, and we used to fill that out for the seller. We were doing it for a while, and then my attorney's like, oh, no, not that one. I was like, okay, not that one. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
So
Thank
the
you.
seller fills out the seller disclosures.
Yeah, and you can send it to them through like a dot loop or something like that, and have everything like, and just instruct the seller to, hey, if you don't know the information, just mark NA or unknown, and like as long as the seller is the one doing that, because before that's what we were doing. We were marking everything NA or unknown, and then signing on the seller's behalf. And it's like, let's just instruct the seller to do that. And if they want to
There you
disclose
go.
something, great, let's disclose it. You know, maybe they put a new roof on the property. That's a good thing, right? Disclosures aren't always bad. Sometimes they're good. You know, they'd be like,
Right.
yeah, we put a new roof back in 2015. Okay, great. You know, that we didn't know that before. Now the buyer's going to see that. And so that's how we approach that.
That's terrific. So the 5 documents, Corey, was Novation.
You need the original purchase
AB
agreement.
contract,
Yep.
the Novation identification agreement /
Identification.
disclosure,
Yep.
the attorney of fact.
Yep. Now
And-
that's to get the deal started. When you get a buyer in place, then you have the notice of interest that you're going to record on the property, and then you have the release of interest because you got to release your interest to get paid. And those are the 5 instruments that you need. The way we do it in Novation Nation.
Bingo. But you do have the buyer fill out a BC or their contract with the seller, right?
Though
Do they sign-
the offer,
No?
the BC offer is going to come in. It's coming in from the broker. The brokers haven't,
Yeah.
they're drafting it up on the buyer's behalf because they represent the buyer. Comes into our realtor. Our realtor presents it to us. We sign it on the seller's behalf.
As an attorney
The
of fact.
offers. Yep, as the
Yeah.
attorney in fact, the offers get signed.
Beautiful.
By us.
Okay.
Correct.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the sellers never are in touch with the realtor, the listing agent, right?
90% of the time, no. It does happen. You know, if the seller's living in the property and we got to get some showings, realtor knows they work for us, kind of Brandon just said. Make
Okay.
sure you emphasize with these realtors, these agents, that we're the ones paying them, not the seller. They understand that agreement. And then, yes, most of the time, no. Does it happen? Yes.
Gotcha. So like the listing agreement would say Brandon Simmons, right? And it would say Corey Geary AIF on the listing agreement.
That is correct. You got
Okay.
it. You nailed it.
Gotcha. That's how it would be. Sweet.
I have a question that's made me think of this, Corey. Let's just say that you do all the process, you get the property listed, but you're like, you know what? This is a smoking deal. I just want to take this down. You already have the contract. Can you
Sure.
go ahead and perform on that?
Absolutely. You have you transact out the AB contract, the original agreement you have now. Yeah, you just
Beautiful.
transact out. Here's another beautiful thing too. This was happening last year when we were in a great market, right? When we're like offers were coming like crazy over asking. I mean, it was ridiculous. We would list a property, Novations, and we would get a cash offer at retail. And so we just call the broker or with the dispositions to call the broker and be like, hey, do you guys know what an assignment is? Broker's like, yeah, we've done many assignments. Can we assign the property to your buyer? And now you just got yourself a retail wholesale. We're not seeing that no more. We haven't seen that.
Not in Illinois, right? But in other states.
No, don't do that in
Yeah.
Illinois. Oh, yeah. Don't do that in Illinois. Yeah. I mean, you
Beautiful,
can, but I
beautiful.
mean, yeah, you'll get away with it. We did, but
You
if
can do
get
like
caught-
one a year, I think. I can't remember the exact.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful with it, man. I mean, we used to do a lot of wholesaling there, and we just, but you just got, when you're doing novations though, you want to be extra careful, I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you're playing in
Now-
the retail world.
So if someone wants to get a hold of you, Corey, how
Best
would they?
ways,
what's the best way?
Yeah, best way is Facebook or Instagram. The Facebook is just Corey Geary, Corey, Geary, Geary. On Instagram, my handle is the Corey Geary, one word, the Corey Geary.
Okay.
On Instagram, and you can DM me there. I'm the one who answers my DMs, not a VA. So.
And by the way, I know that you've been coaching and helping a lot of
Yep.
wholesalers learn this strategy. So you're willing to do that and help others out with that.
Absolutely.
As well, right?
We got two ways of doing it. If you guys are just wanting to learn like how we do novations and the paperwork, we have a course. It's just a one-off course. You know what I mean? It's not like it's just a videos of me explaining how to do novations. It's the paperwork and that's it. Then we also have a mastermind, very similar to what you got, where it's full immersion, how to learn to do PPC, how to do novations, the hand holding, JV, green, JV and deals together. The whole experience is in the mastermind. So it's depending on what you want and what's the right fit.
One of the things too that you started off the call talking about the mindset, and one of the things in your mastermind that's really good is you bring in experts that help with the mindset, the flipping the 6 inches between our ears, right?
That's it, man. That's all.
Most important real estate we got.
That's the 80-20 rule. The 80% is here in the mindset, not the tactics.
Yeah.
That's the 20.
And what I love about entrepreneurs, whenever we're dealt with a problem or a question, it's more like, how can I solve this?
Yeah.
We rarely just throw up our hands like, we can't do this. No, there's usually a workaround.
There's always a way.
Yeah.
There's always a way. You just got to find and crack the code on it. And it's like, yeah. And that's the difference between an entrepreneur and your regular 9-to-5 guy. The guy has a 9-to-5 because he doesn't want to be a solution fixer. He doesn't want to be a problem fixer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He doesn't want to like go out there and create value to the world. We're entrepreneurs. That's all we're doing is creating massive value to the world. And in return, we get compensated for that value.
We're allowed to.
Absolutely. We're allowed to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Corey, I appreciate you jumping on this. I know you're busy.
Man.
I know your time's very precious. Want to thank you for jumping on here. And again, if anyone wants to reach out to Corey, you can reach him on social media at Corey Geary or the Corey Geary on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Reach out to him. He's helped a lot of people in our local market that are doing deals nationwide. He'd help people in other wholesalers in other states. This little strategy can literally double your wholesale fees.
Yeah. And it will help you get through this recession we're going through. And it's about to get worse, guys, in my opinion. The next interest rate hike is next month. They're not slowing down anytime soon, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. Right. I don't have the crystal ball.
I know. I'm in these crypto masterminds too. I'm big into crypto. And it's funny because these guys analyze the markets a lot deeper than what the real estate people guys do. And so the crypto guys, they see a lot more doom and gloom on the horizon than what the real estate people see. So it's good to hear both perspectives. But for me, I'm like, okay, if I prepare for doom and gloom and it doesn't happen, great. I'm still in good shape. But if I'm not prepared for it and I get caught with my pants down, then, it could put me out of business.
Yes. Well, so for me, whenever I do a lot of wholesale coaching and when I'm teaching beginners, I talk about 5 types of buyers on a buyer's list. The fix and flipper, what everyone knows.
Yeah.
The landlord, the hedge funds, the realtors, and other wholesalers. But what happens is in this type of market, the flippers go away.
Yeah.
The landlord stop buying, the hedge funds stop buying.
This is correct.
So you really only have other wholesalers, and some of them are going out of business, and then you just have the retail only. So this still works in a very crazy market where a lot of these landlords and flippers and hedge funds are pulling back.
Yeah. And maybe the landlord, if you're doing sub 2 and creative financing on these deals, the landlords would be willing to still buy, right? Because you're
100%.
You're bringing financing in place. You're like, here you go. Here's that's how sexy is that?
That's how we're able to do a lot of our regular wholesale deals, just turn them into creative deals.
Yeah, because it's the value proposition you're bringing to the marketplace.
100%. Corey, thanks again for jumping on. Appreciate it as always. Everyone, thanks for jumping on the Zoom, and have a great day, everybody.